Hi, I'm Mandi Bishop. I'm Mandi B Pro on Twitter, and this is my very first video blog entry. And I'd like to dedicate this entry to Lillian Pearson, who is Big Data Gal on Twitter, because she inspired me with a topic to kind of launch into video blogdom. So thank you, Lillian. This is me, and this is kind of how I got here. It's truly been a series of accidents. Lillian mentioned today that she wished she had studied IT in college. And I do too, but I certainly didn't. I have a creative writing undergraduate degree from Florida State University. Go Seminoles! And I have a master's degree in rhetoric and composition, which basically means I have a graduate degree in the art of bullshit. It serves me well in corporate America. um, I never thought I would be here, and I never thought that I would become an expert on healthcare data management. This was not something that was in the cards. I grew up wanting to be a forensic psychiatrist for a long time. I wanted to be Clarice Starling from Silence of the Lambs. And then I wanted to be an intellectual patent attorney. And so when I went to college, I thought that I was going to go to engineering school and then go to law school. And that ended with my first physics class. So I fell back on something that I had loved since childhood, which was English. And I continued to study creative writing, and I continued to study literature. But I also taught myself HTML. I decided that communication as a whole was, my fascination, and I loved this new idea called the internet. And I absolutely adored the different ways that you could communicate. It wasn't just about the words on the page or the screen, it was about their mannerism. It was about their font. Were they bolded? Were they underlined? Was it a clickable link? Is it a hypertext? So this whole new area of thought process and this new realm of cognition and of communication theory began to kind of consume me. And so I would stay up all night, all the time on webmonkey.com, taking JavaScript tutorials by Tao and learning how to build websites and how to create meaningful links with hypertext. And so I am lucky enough that my master's thesis committee allowed me to do my master's in cyber literacy. So my thesis was on cyber literacy, and it was actually a website that was built from a series of interconnected papers as well as images. So I leveraged Flash, and then I leveraged a Cold Fusion database in order to do kind of randomization of textual linkage and study the meanings that we would derive from random linkages. And it was definitely new at the time. And I'm very blessed that Dr. Carrie Leverins, Dr. David Johnson, and Dr. Mandi Bishop from Florida State University allowed me to pursue this avenue. I taught one freshman English course at Florida State University as a graduate assistant. And midway through that semester, I sat all of those students down and I thanked them very much for allowing me to realize that teaching was not my calling and that I needed to pursue other avenues, which at that time I'd forced them to use a class listserv. I taught my classes, my syllabus was all online. I held virtual office hours. So my manner of teaching caught the attention of one of the public administration professors by the name of Dr. David Corsi, and he took an interest in me and convinced me to take a web development class. So when I was finishing my master's in English, I took one web development class in the public administration department, and Dr. Corsi hired me halfway through. So I was able to complete my studies as a graduate assistant in the public administration department, although my master's was in English. And I got my first corporate job as a web developer shortly thereafter, and I never looked back. I was a corporate web developer and eventually the database developer for a company called Collegius, which became SunGard Higher Education. And I went from there to South Florida, and I became a project manager because I had my wonderful, amazing daughter, and I was no longer able to stay up, until 2 or 3 in the morning taking JavaScript tutorials, or reading books on Perl, or reading books on SQL, or reading books on, T-SQL and PLSQL. Like I couldn't continue to learn at the pace that is required in order to maintain, relevancy as a developer. So I had to give up that ghost and really just start to manage the developers and to manage the work. And then I stumbled into healthcare at Blue Cross of Florida and stumbled into their information management department and was so incredibly blessed to work for a man named Mike Orenchuk, who kind of mentored me and became the basis for my, passion for healthcare data and for healthcare informatics and analytics. So I ran the delivery system informatics program at Florida, and it has launched an entire career and obsession with, healthcare data management and analytics and informatics, and I could not be happier. But it is a series of accidents that got me here, and I wish I'd studied IT in college, but at the same time, my English degree serves me well. I can communicate, I'm articulate, and quite honestly, I got my very first job with the CFO of Collegis because I was the only IT person that he had met and interviewed who could articulate thoughts, both verbally as well as on paper. So be happy. Lillian, you're doing exactly what you want to be doing. Keep doing it and enjoy. Thanks, guys. Bye.